We're in the Metropolitan Museum of Art looking at Thomas Cole's view from Mount Holyoke, Northampton, Massachusetts, after a thunderstorm, the Oxbow.
Right, but we know it as the Oxbow.
It's a Hudson River School painting by Thomas Cole, who's credited with founding American landscape painting.
Landscape painting was ranked very low by the academies in Europe, though.
And painting was ranked very low in American society.
That's true. And when Americans didn't want paintings, they didn't want grand mythological scenes. They wanted portraits or landscapes or views like this one.
And this is a view of a well-known, unusual natural scene, a place where the Connecticut River bends back on itself. We're in the Metropolitan Museum of Art looking at Thomas Cole's view from Mount Holyoke, Northampton, Massachusetts, after a thunderstorm, the Oxbow.
Right, but we know it as the Oxbow.
It's a Hudson River School painting by Thomas Cole, who's credited with founding American landscape painting.
Landscape painting was ranked very low by the academies in Europe, though.
And painting was ranked very low in American society.
That's true. And when Americans didn't want paintings, they didn't want grand mythological scenes. They wanted portraits or landscapes or views like this one.
And this is a view of a well-known, unusual natural scene, a place where the Connecticut River bends back on itself.
This is a really large painting. I think it's 5 or 6 feet wide and 5 feet high. And that speaks to the importance that Thomas Cole wanted to give to landscape painting. Landscape painting considered this lowly genre, but here made not only large in size, but Cole, even here in this view, trying to say something more with landscape. When we think of Thomas Cole, we think of The Course of Empire or The Voyage of Life, these moments when he tries to use landscape to say something big, but something big is hidden here too.
This is really ambitious. And it's not just landscape, it's about transformation, it's about time, it's about a kind of metamorphosis.
Well, it's about America and what America is going to become.
So on the left side, we see a storm-ravaged landscape. We see a broken tree. We see rain pouring down, birds that seem to be frantic as they fly through the sky. And we can even make out a little bit of a lightning bolt at the extreme left.
So we have what art historians and art critics at the time even referred to as the sublime, an image of nature that is wild and untamed and frightening and awesome.
This untouched wilderness, this virgin forest, was seen in stark contrast to the built environment of old Europe. And so here was a promise of the new. It was America as a new Eden.
And this is so different than what Cole gives us on the other side, which is Americans settling this virgin landscape, transforming it into cultivated plots of land, into areas to graze their livestock, into places to settle and build homes. And the storm is passing, the sun is coming, and there's a sense that this settling of the land is something which is ordained by God, which is approved by God.
And this is really tied in with the American notion of manifest destiny. The Americans were meant to tame this landscape, that this was ours, 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 ours.
atmosphere problems. Balance. Balance. At sunset, the water bounces the sky back. Thanks. Thanks, nature. Thanks, nature, for building this bridge that I can canoe under. Thanks, banks. Thanks, banks, for sloping so gradually so that when I wade, I can wet my white ankles. Thanks, cliffs. You're doing great. Thanks, cliffs, for just rising up so that at this hour of sunset, when I have a picnic, I don't even have to squint. We're here in Mascher Space Co-op looking at Space Co-op looking at looking at this dance studio in Kensington. This is where I actually talk to you. Okay, I ask, what do we know it as? What do you call this? I don't know, what do you know it as? What's it called? This. So conceptual dance, I would say is actually ranked pretty high, regarded pretty highly in the academies of Europe. And then I guess I'll just crack open this can of worms to say, like, I would also maybe argue that conceptual dance is ranked or regarded fairly highly in America. So, here we are. And I thought I'd lean on one of the popular tropes of contemporary conceptual dance, contemporary and conceptual dance, which is, if you have a smartphone, pull it out, and just pull it out for now, and then I'll tell you things after that. And if you don't, I gotcha. Because I had to get the treat of a bigger version of this thing. And once you have your phone out, so I can tell you that the sound that we've just listened to, what was that, 10 minutes ago, was talking about Thomas Cole's painting, one of Thomas Cole, who's a Hudson River painter, one of his paintings. But now I just want you to look up a different one of his paintings. And you can yes, phones are out. So you can get it by just typing, if you search Thomas Cole, C-O-L-E, a view of the mountain pass. But it might come up before that. It looks like this. Are we getting it? This is like, screw you, Christina, it's not coming up. Yeah? Anyone having trouble?
Called the Notch of the White Mountains.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. What's the full name of it?
A view of the mountain pass called the Notch of the White Mountains.
Great. Yeah, so it's a long name. And take your time with it. Just if you want to zoom, or yeah, if you want to physically zoom, or on your phone digitally zoom in, go for it. Just take a look. Did you find it? I can. Yeah, and just take your time with it. See if you just notice. There's probably lots of. As you're continuing to look, that's the one. Yeah, I can say that part of my process was just looking at some of these paintings and then just doing like a 15-minute free write, just free write with them. So I'm going to read one of those free writes, the one that I did about this painting. And you can choose to hold the image of the painting or actually look at it on your phone if you want in your mind. And or you could come to a window. There's many windows. Some have limited viewing options. But you could come to a window and look out and imagine that you are looking out like Thomas Cole looked out to paint this view. So I invite you to do either one. This stage is free. Come on out if you want to come to a window. And if you don't, that's also okay. And I'll just read this free writing. Let's see. There we go. Great. A view of the mountain pass called the Notch of the White Mountains. Sliced like diagonal sandwich bread, or like the heart meridian butterfly shape. Time Mountain, in the center but back there holding, and only lightly shrouded in grayish-whitish. Autumn brights, crisps, yellow-brown, green-brown, yellow-red, red-orange, orange-pink, green-yellow. Half of the butterfly other wing a textured green-brown. Pines. With some bright contour, that snaggletooth foreground disarray, stripped bare by the wind or a storm, or the same. But only one butterfly wing is lit. That feeling of light, blocked by a muscly structure or man that makes your container feel drenched in apocalypse. Drenched in ambition or beauty, humbling gestures at ending, being swallowed into folds, gods licking their lips, smacking their tongues, And the little man on the little horse, like that time on Spring Garden Street, riding my bike, is a storm coming or going? Juma says, let's think about miracles and disasters. Mist and hovering clouds, what's brewing? A batch of space over time enduring. Breathing much slower than I, bladder much fuller and more voluminous than mine. My piddle pee is like a nervous pant, a little drip drop. But this large container is sponging it up. Mist that I see, mist that I don't. Bladder clouds and unleashing, soaking. Blues and yellows, soaking the pressure of being held and letting it rip. Earth sponging. Dryness of fall, wet red yellows, dry red browns. Wet yellow greens, dry brown reds. Dry or ready to depart. No one will rake them. The ground will swallow them. Eventually rained on leaves, and then earthy leaves, and leafy earth, licking its lips.